I don't know anymore. We'll get it. Are we live? What's up? We're jamming to Prince. Dance Music 6 Romance is one of my favorite Prince songs. Watch. Ow! What? Dance Music 6 Romance. You're watching The Morning Score live on ubnradio.com, Channel 2, or on Facebook page. Guys, I'm Erica Renee Davis. You can find me on Snapchat, Periscope, Twitter, and on Instagram at Erica Renee D.
And I'm Trevor Anthony, and you can find me on Twitter at Trevor Anthony and also on Vine at Trevor Anthony. And trust me, you want to see this morning's Vine because it gets crazy.
It does. And as always, follow all things The Morning Score on YouTube. I should turn my my phone off. YouTube at The Morning Score on YouTube. On Twitter at The Morning Score. Also on Instagram at The Morning Score Show. Hashtag TMS Talk to join the conversation on Twitter. Download this episode on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and share with your friends on Facebook and on Twitter and on all that stuff. Okay, whatever.
Do it.
Before we get into last night's scores, I want to just pour some out for Prince. Let me tell you. I am the biggest Prince fan, Trevor. I tell anyone who knows me knows I'm obsessed with Prince. Since I was 12 years old, I really thought that Prince was my soulmate. And it's
really,
it's like sick. And it's not even like I'm like an obsessed fan where I will like stalk him and like go travel to where he is. But I just connected with his music spiritually. Jarvis, am I okay in my headphones? Am I okay? Because I can't hear out my right ear. It's fine. As long as you can hear me. As long as you guys can hear me. That's the only thing that matters. But I was really devastated. Like, I was on the phone with my sister when the news broke, and I just lost it. She was like, what's wrong? Did somebody die? I was like, yeah, Prince died, dude. So, yeah.
No, it was crazy. I was on a flight, and it was right, everybody's checking their phones right before we take off. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, you just hear this murmurs like, is this right? Is this true? Prince died? Prince died? No. And I was like, holy crap, Prince died. I mean, I always really enjoyed Prince, and I had some friends. My friend Jewel actually danced with him for years. So I reached out to her because I know she was just devastated. And one of my good buddies who passed away years ago, Twitty, he always loved like Raspberry Beret and Little Red Corvette. So it just,
yeah,
it's just great. 57, right?
57 years old, and it's so bizarre because when Michael died and when Whitney died, there was such pomp and circumstance around their funerals. But literally, Prince died on a Thursday, and he was cremated by that weekend. And a lot of people who don't even follow Prince wouldn't even know that his funeral's already been held. Funeral already been held. Autopsy already complete. Cremation already done. He really went in death as he lived his life very quietly, privately, and just flew under the radar. It's so sad. But since it's a sports show,
I wish we had some liquor that we could pour out for Prince.
I poured out some beer for Prince last Thursday.
Oh, very nice.
I did. Then I drank the rest of the beer.
Prince would appreciate that.
I hope so. You know what? I lied about there being a hockey game last night, so just scratch it. Yeah, okay, I lied. Okay. Last night's scores. Celtics and Hawks, 83 Celtics, Hawks 110. Hawks took back control of that series, and then the Pacers 99 and Raptors 102. That was a heartbreaker for the Pacers at the very end when that last shot went off. It was a three-pointer, would have put it into overtime, but no such luck because it was still on whatchamacallit's fingers. And Drake was happy. Drake.
I mean, as long as Drake's happy.
That's all that matters. So that's your NBA scores from last night.
Geez, and then baseball, it was like a full schedule.
It was.
Marlins top the Kershaw Dodgers 6-3. White Sox beat up on the Blue Jays 10-1. Red Sox beat up on the Braves. Go figure. 11-4. Rays over the O's 3-1. Cubbies.
Go.
Best team in Major League Baseball.
As of right now.
They just keep on winning. 4-3 over the Brewers. Pirates beat the Rockies 9-4. Angels beats the Royals 9-4.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 9-4. Look at that.
9-4, yeah.
Look at that. Giants beat the Padres 1-0. Phillies over the Nats 4-3. A's over the Tigers 5-1. Mets keep on winning 4-3 over the Reds. A lot of 10-1 scores.
That's what I was gonna say. And then was it 10-1? And there was Astros 1, Mariners 11. Like there were some blowouts.
Blowouts.
Do you call baseball scores like that? Do you call them blowouts?
Yeah, blowout.
It's
yeah,
blowout. Okay,
absolutely.
Okay.
Another blowout. Cardinals over the D-backs 8-2, and finally a close game. Indians top the Twins 6-5.
I didn't watch any of those games, did you?
I didn't. Just some highlights of the Cubbies.
We got to tell the truth here. I mean,
Sports Center.
Yeah.
I just follow it on Sports Center and get the highlights. And the one thing about living in L.A., Cubs only on if they're on ESPN. So
True.
I don't really get to watch Cubs, and I need to look into that Major League Baseball package thing.
True.
Because this is going to be a season to remember.
Cubs.
Erica.
Wearing it on his chest. Superman, like wearing Superman on his chest. He's wearing the Cubs on his chest.
Like a superhero. Cubs!
Yeah, whatever. Speaking of disappointing teams.
What?
NBA is having some Western Conference woes, particularly with my embattled favorite franchise, the Clippers. Trevor. Okay.
It's stunning. How does that happen? Your two best players on the same night.
Same night.
Right after there's like this ray of hope. Steph Curry goes out. It's like the Clippers. This is the Clippers year potentially. And then bam! No, it's like jinx. It was a tease.
Okay, so again, CP3, Blake Griffin, both went out game 4 Monday night. Blazers ended up winning that game, but the sad thing about that game is that Blake re-injured his quad that had him out since December the 25th, and CP3 just was going in for like a defensive play and broke his middle finger on his right hand. It's a fracture, so he'll be out 4 to 6 weeks, and then Blake is out for the playoffs.
Right.
They are two of the big three, and I was saying earlier on Periscope that even though DeAndre is the last third of the big three, he does not have the offensive acumen to help carry that team. Like if that was like a Dirk or a Tim Duncan, your team wouldn't be in such despair. But there's nothing that DeAndre can do without Chris Paul leading that ship and without Blake Griffin being there too. So are CP3's and Blake's injuries verification that the Clippers curse is real? Let me ask you that.
I don't know if they have a curse because they've always just been such a bad franchise. But
Okay.
man,
Okay.
so like last year, that team, do you call it a curse that they have a 19-point lead going in the fourth quarter and they just let it slip and lose that series?
If that had been an isolated incident, I wouldn't have called it a curse. But you have that. Then you have, I think Elton Brand tore his Achilles during like a potential Western Conference / championship season, and he tore his Achilles that season. What else happened? The whole thing with Donald Sterling and his girlfriend revealing that we already knew that he was, a bigot, racist, whatever. You have that. You have, I think, is it 3 seasons ago where Blake was hurt in playoffs? He wasn't at his full potential during playoffs against Memphis. Then you have CP3 2 years ago when we were up on OKC. We could have won that series, and he freaked out and some bad calls. And so last year's meltdown in the fourth quarter of a closeout game that would have advanced us to the Western Conference Finals was definitely just stupid. But that combined with everything else that's happened each time the Clippers are on the precipice of being somewhat great, I think verifies that the curse is a real thing.
There's definitely something supernatural going on because I've never heard of losing your two best players ever. You'll lose one,
maybe,
but not both.
Both,
and then on the same nights. It's sad because this Clippers team for the past couple years have always been a contender, and something has gone wrong, whether it's just terrible play or something crazy happening like this. Because now, do they blow up this team? Are they like, okay, it's just not happening anymore?
Yeah, I really think that my initial thought was you have to blow up the team. And hold on, I have a quick question. Jarvis, are we good on UBNradio.com channel 2? I just got one of our fans just texted to say that we might not be up on UBN. I know you guys are watching on Facebook. We want to make sure that you guys are able to watch on UBNradio.com channel 2.
Oh, I like that. I like the fans are calling in.
Thank you for letting us know. My initial thing was you have to blow up this team. You cannot keep going on with Chris, with DJ, with Blake, and getting the same result every year. And the same result every year has been a first or second round exit. You got to do something different. But then you take a step back and you try not to be as emotional, and you think to yourself, well, why not give it one more chance? Because I think CP's and Blake's, they don't enter free agency until 2017. So why try to break the team up now? Just give it one more year. I don't really know what the better options would be. Like, who would you bring? Like, how would you rebuild this team?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. It's like Kevin Durant. Does he come in? Is he a possibility? Do you give up CP3? Because CP3 is an amazing player, but God, he's just not he's never done anything in the postseason.
You know what? He's never done anything in the postseason, but and I hate to be this person, his regular season play is so great. But other than just regular season great, he ranks up there with the Magic Johnsons, with the Oscar Robinsons of point guard play. And I know it doesn't really matter what you do in the regular season if you can't translate it to postseason success. BTW, I know you guys can't see, but our engineer Jarvis just stepped out and I feel naked. I feel like, so you guys never see our engineer Jarvis. He's awesome.
He's a man.
He's a man, but he's usually sitting, back and like giving us direction and directing us. He stepped out for a second, and I just feel really naked that he's not in here. I just had to acknowledge that.
Don't leave me alone with Trevor.
I know.
This is crazy.
I'm scared of the white man. Do you have a gun?
I'm a scary man.
But yeah, so
I got 2 guns, girl.
Got 2 guns.
Beast mode.
But okay, so because we promised ourselves we would not belabor the points too long, and now we're just rambling.
I love that though. That's what makes this show.
Just talk our asses for 55 minutes. Your crystal ball says that what? The Clippers. Your crystal ball says that the Clippers blank.
Lose to the Trailblazers. I mean, I think that tonight's game is so pivotal.
Tonight, 7:00 Pacific. I'm sorry, 7:00. 7:00? Yes, 7:00 Pacific time. Yeah,
Pacific.
10:00 Eastern time.
I mean, you still have Jamal Crawford.
Yeah.
Who is going to have to? That dude's going to have to step up.
He's going to
score
50 points
from somewhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the sad thing. It's like you're like, okay, Austin Rivers, it's your time. And the guys showed some signs, but
he did.
I don't know. I think the Clippers are going to be devastated. Is there much hope? I mean, because even if you win this series,
you're not.
You got to play Golden State, and even if they're without Steph Curry. Without Blake at CP3, you're not beating Golden State.
You can't even score. And the thing with Austin Rivers, of course, that's Doc Rivers' son. Last year, he showed some signs of true leadership against the Spurs. It was kind of like his coming out party, and we were like, oh, Austin Rivers. We can't take a caller right now just because we have so much to get to. But thank you. Give us a second. We might be able to get to a call. But Austin Rivers. Is Doc Rivers' son. People were screaming nepotism. Say that 5 times fast. And then he showed that he could be a somewhat of a defensive player last year. He showed us that he, could help, put some points on the board. But now it's like, you have to. It's not even a matter of can you. It's a matter if you have to do this or your team is going home. And so I'm really nervous about Austin taking the reins as the point guard. I
mean, he's the guy. And, hey, you brought in Paul Pierce for a reason.
Yeah.
So that dude, Ghost of Christmas Past, is going to have to show up.
Ghost of Wizards Past, Paul Pierce, you need to freaking dust off your dusty boots and do something good for this organization, or else you're going home and you're going to retire Clipper without another ring to add to that Boston ring. Just some fun facts for you guys. We lost the game the other night. Game 4, series is tied 2-2. Of course, the Clippers took the first 2 games of that series pretty easily, and then we lost the second 2 games in Portland. I don't know. There's nothing really else to say. I don't really have anything else about that.
You are devastated.
I'm devastated. Let's talk about
something happier for you.
I guess so. Hashtag TMS Talk. The Warriors without Steph Curry are what?
Good, but not great.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. Sorry. Out of all of this, it looks best for the Spurs and the Cavs, in my opinion.
It does.
Because, well, going back to the Clippers, if they're healthy, they beat the Warriors. I'm pretty certain without Steph Curry.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident that would happen. But now it's this Warriors team without Steph can beat the Trailblazers. So most likely they're going to meet the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals. And we'll see how Curry comes back, but they're not going to beat the Spurs without Curry. That's
I
not
totally
happening.
agree with you. I totally agree with you. It's interesting, though, because Clay and Draymond and the whole team stepped up. They have such resolve when Curry's not there. Now, I think their regular season record without Curry, they're 3-2. But the game that they lost Curry, the second game when Curry came back from his ankle injury and then ended up hurting his knee, game 4 against the Rockets, the Warriors still broke the NBA's postseason 3-point record with 21 made 3-pointers in one game. And that's without Curry on the court. I think he had made 1 3-pointer before he exited that game. So to me, the Warriors without Curry are formidable.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. I mean, you said so. We're saying the same thing. Another question is, which Warrior to you will stand out the most now that Steph is gone?
I think it will be Draymond.
Mm-hmm.
I think it needs to be Clay.
Okay.
I think Clay needs to step up and show that he is a superior scorer, which he is, but he needs to be consistent.
Okay.
But I love a guy like Draymond Green is so great for teams.
He is.
Because he's just that emotional guy that fires you up. The Bulls, and who are not even press worthy right now, but when they had Joakim Noah and he was healthy, that dude was their spark plug.
He was.
And now you have like a Draymond Green who, with him, and this team, they'll be good, but they're not going to get to the finals without Steph Curry.
So Steph is projected. Now, of course, with his MRI, let me just give you this facts. His MRI was taken Monday. It was a grade 1 sprain, which is good because it's the lowest possible sprain. But everyone processes pain differently. So we don't know what his swelling will be like. We don't know what his tolerance will be like. And even if he does come back in 2 weeks, will he be 100% in 2 weeks? If he's not 100% in 2 weeks, how will being less than 100% have an adverse effect on their ability to advance, like you said?
And with that, I don't even know why they brought him back for this Houston series. Like, they should have just let the dude rest and heal up. Because even though this is and it was totally fluke.
It was a fluke.
But this guy, he's known to be injury prone. Mm-hmm. So let him just get totally healthy, let him rest a little bit, and then bring him back for the next series. I don't even know why they brought him back, but.
Well, I think the whole thing was, at that point, the Rockets had won a game. And all the analysts were saying, once the Rockets win a game, then, Steph needs to come back. And as you said, again, it was a fluke. He slipped on the floor. It wasn't even the same. It wasn't as if he re-injured his ankle, which was his lingering injury. It was it's a new injury. I don't know. I think that the Rockets probably will be done tonight. They play Warriors-Rockets tonight at 7:30 Pacific time, 10:30 Eastern. I get so confused, because I was traveling too, and right. I'm thinking about New York time, and I can't. Okay.
It totally screws you up.
It does.
It totally screws you up.
Fun fact for you guys, Curry led the NBA this season, averaging 30.1 points per game. He averaged 6.7 assists per game, 5.4 rebounds. He's so little, still had 5.4 rebounds a game. He made a record 402 three-pointers this season.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, it really is stupid.
That's insane. What was the record before? It was like 291
set
by him.
Yeah, set by him. And speaking of something else that's stupid, tell me what you think about Kerr being named. Tell me what you think about Kerr.
You're on fire with your transitions today.
Okay, good.
I mean,
#TMS Talk. Join the conversation on Twitter.
It's definitely tough, but who else are you going to give it to? He is the head coach of the record-breaking team. And yes, Luke Walton was there for the beginning. But who else do you give it to?
Okay, I'm going to tell you who else you give it to. You give it to Jaeger from Memphis Grizzlies head coach, or Brad Stevens, Boston Celtics, the Celtics head coach. And I say that because, Trevor, you or I could have coached the Warriors this year. I mean, seriously, I think when Mark Jackson was coaching the Warriors, I think that was Coach of the Year award worthy performance from a coach, because he built that team. He got them to be a cohesive unit. They didn't win a championship with him, but he took them from relative obscurity in the Western Conference to 50-plus wins under his tenure. I think that Kerr and Walton have basically taken a team of ridiculously talented, pure shooters and just kind of stood there with a clipboard. And I don't want to take away anything from Kerr or from Walton, but I do want to say this, that Kerr only coached less than half of the regular season. So that, to me, is enough reason to not give him the Coach of the Year award. Second of all, what Brad Stevens has done as young as he is and gotten the Celtics to be, I guess, a press-worthy team year after year, that, to me, is worth being Coach of the Year worthy. And then Jaeger from Memphis, the stat is that his team this year is the first team ever to play 28 different players and get to the playoffs. Like, the most ever players that a playoff team has ever played in the season is 23. So Jaeger took a bunch of no-name people and still got his team to the playoffs. Like, granted, they got swept by the Spurs. He still got them there. So what Kerr to me has done is not really noteworthy to me.
No, and I'm with you. I think he got it because of the record.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. And I think the two guys that you mentioned were solid. They also, in second place, was actually Stotts from Portland, which I can see that because they're at least, what are they, the 5 seed in the West?
Portland, yeah, they're 5 seed, yeah.
So that, because it's hard to give a Coach of the Year to a team that's in the 7 or 8 seed. And I get it. I think the Memphis thing is pretty spectacular.
That
I mean, 28 different players, that's nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy, but I don't think there was anybody that really shines other than I mean, Popovich, yeah, but
see, that's the thing, like,
but they're loaded too, so it's
well, I mean, like, so Popovich gets a knock because he's genius. Like, has Popovich ever won the Coach of the Year award? I'm not even sure if he ever has won it before, and if he hasn't, why not? You know, and if he doesn't win it every year, why not? He's the most consistent head coach every year. Oh, Jarvis is like
13, 2014.
Oh, he did win 13-14. So Popovich won 13-14. But I don't understand. Like, you can't knock someone like Pop. You can't knock, like, to me, Steve Kerr, you coach half the season.
Yeah.
You coach 39 regular season games. I want to also say this about the Warriors under Kerr. The Warriors under Kerr have set NBA records for single-season road victories, 34, and consecutive home regular season wins, 54, including 18 victories to finish off last season. And they went 39-2 at their arena this year for the second season in a row. So, on one hand, I'm bashing Kerr. On the other hand, I'm basically supporting why he won.
I mean, the stats, the record. I don't know. I don't think if anybody else won it, there would be an uproar, which isn't the reason why you should vote somebody in or not. But God, he's done something to light a fire under this team.
I think that the writers and I think that the voters who are writing this Golden State fairy tale want it to be a perfect little story. I think they want, okay, the Warriors, beat your Bulls, 72-10 record. So they had the best regular season record ever. They're going for their two-peat. Steph Curry might be the MVP again. It only makes sense for Kerr to be the Coach of the Year on this fairy tale season. Other than that, I'm sorry. I think that another coach was as deserving as Kerr with your 39 regular season games that you coached.
Well, here's the thing. This pretty little fairy tale season is all going to come down to a crashing halt because they're not going to win the damn championship.
Oh, you heard it.
Take that.
You heard it here first on the Morning Score. #Team Has Talk. Jarvis, are we all good on ubnradio.com channel 2? Did it? Oh, okay. So all you Facebookers out there. Oh, okay, so we're on Facebook.
Facebook?
What on Facebook? Do you remember when Facebook was called The Facebook?
Was it really called
The
Facebook?
It was called The Facebook. Yeah. No, you don't remember? It was called The Facebook because I was in college when Facebook started, and it was called The Facebook, and it was only accessible to like certain schools for a while.
Right.
It was called The Facebook. It had like a little picture avatar of somebody. I guess it was Zuckerberg, or maybe it was one of his friends.
Well, because I do remember it. I worked with a guy who had just graduated, and he was telling me about it, and I was like, "What are you talking?" He's like, "Yeah, there's this thing," but it was all collegiate, like you said.
Yeah, you had to be in college, yeah.
So I was like, "Well, I'm not in college, so I'll kick it on MySpace."
With your top 8.
Which is probably still up. I need to go on my MySpace. Not that I know my login anymore, but it's probably still there.
It's probably still up. Yeah, I had to deactivate mine a while ago.
I gotta check that out.
You need to, because somebody might be using your MySpace to do like some really shady shit. Going from Western Conference woes to Eastern Conference, what the H? How in the hell is Miami the Heat and the Hornets series tied at 2?
I love it.
Me too.
The Hornets, this is actually, I think the NBA playoffs have been so boring so far. But this series is actually kind of fun.
It is. It's funny, actually.
Because the Heat are kind of in the shadows as the team that might be able to compete with the Cavs.
With the Cavs, yep.
But then you've got this young upstart squad that, if you look at their roster, it's like an all-college all-star team.
That's exactly what it is.
Crazy.
And then you have honestly, not to play the race card, but it's like a bunch of like white kids. It's like Jeremy Lin and Zeller and
Kaminsky.
I'm like, look at this.
And then you got little Kemba who's like that. Is there a guy that's more fun to watch than that dude?
He's fun. His game, last game, what is it? Kemba, he scored 34 points last game, game 4. Jeremy Lin had 21 points. And then if you saw the clip where he like did his little Michael Jordan impression, like, look, Dad, I'm doing you good, Dad. It was so cute.
I'm going to give a shout out to my boy, Skeetin. This dude is a diehard freaking Bobcats fan. No, Hornets. Yeah, they're not the Bobcats.
They used to be.
That's how much I care about the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
But he loves Kemba Walker because he's a huge UConn fan as well.
Okay.
And he's trying to start this whole hashtag count on Kemba.
I like that.
Right?
Hashtag count on Kemba.
Hashtag count on Kemba. And he just keeps busting it. And hey, we'll see tonight.
Yes.
Because it's game 5. It's back in Miami.
Yes.
Both home teams have won.
5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock.
Boom.
Eastern.
This is a series I want to watch. And
me too.
Going into it, okay, Miami and Charlotte, great.
I really thought that
the
Heat would sweep that. Right. I thought they would sweep that series. And here's some fun facts for you again. Hassan Whiteside only had 8 points in the last game. And also the Heat's rebounding was so dismal last game that Gabrielle Union, Dwayne Wade's wife, took to Twitter like she often does. She's really funny on social media.
Is she?
She is so funny. Shout out to Gabrielle Union. Yeah, she's really funny on social media.
Might have to follow you, girl.
You should. On Snapchat too. Follow her. She tweeted about how the Heat were not rebounding. I think we actually have a picture of her tweet. Basically, she was like, in other news, I'm going to be outside working on my rebounding. Hating on how the Heat they weren't rebounding. It was a very poor defensive effort. Shout out to my Facebook friend Keija Johnson for your sorry Heat not rebounding, for being tied 2-2
snap
with Jeremy Lin and crew. Who's on that team? I don't know, but y'all are tied 2-2.
Linsanity coming back.
I like Linsanity. I like his little ponytail. So what are your predictions for tonight's game? Game 5. Heat or Hornets? Make a bold prediction. You better be right.
Hashtag count on Kemba.
Hashtag count on Kemba.
I think they're going to pull it off.
Okay.
I think they're going to pull it off because I think that first game they got their asses whooped.
They did.
But I think it was like, oh, God, we're in the playoffs now. And they're in Miami. And then they lost. Now they've come back. All the momentum. I mean, all the pressure's on Miami now.
It is. So you're going Hornets tonight.
I'm going to go Hornets, and I'm going to go Hornets for the series.
Ooh. Damn, that's a blockbuster prediction right there.
Just threw the hands up.
Damn.
It's powerful.
Jeez Louise. Okay, I'm going to say Hornets tonight, too.
Yeah.
But not for the series.
Oh.
I'm just going to say Hornets tonight to keep it interesting because you know what? Misery loves company, and I'm miserable right now. So I want the Heat. I want all the top dogs to feel the same misery that I'm feeling right now with my Clippers. So everybody 1 through 4, I want you guys to suffer.
I'm with you because as a Bulls, their Bulls aren't even in the.
What happened to your Bulls? That sucks.
Bulls, Kings, which we'll save for later, but I'm counting on the Cubs. That's
that's all you got.
When the hell does that happen?
Fast forward to baseball season for you already. Jeez.
Cubbies.
Okay, so we both predicted the Hornets tonight. Hashtag Team Mess Talk. Join the conversation on Twitter. Join the conversation on Facebook now that we're on Facebook streaming live.
Like
the morning score. Sorry, like it, share it. Hawks, Celtics. I can't believe we have to talk about so many Eastern playoff series because normally we just kind of ignore the Eastern playoffs until Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
But these are actually some interesting series. The best of 3 now it was best of 3 before I wrote this. They were tied 2-2. Hawks took control of the series last night. Now they're up 3-2. I actually had predicted earlier that Celtics would win this series.
Ooh.
I think I'm going to be wrong.
I think so.
The last regulation play of Game 4 where who was it?
Teague
held that ball. And it made me think of our friend Joe Gagliano. I was like, is this game fixed or what? Like, this is ridiculous. What the hell was he doing holding that ball? I was like, are you serious?
Well, he won the last shot.
Yeah, he won the last shot, but he never even freaking took it. Was like.
Well, then I mean, that's what was stupid. I think he did the right thing, but then it slipped out of his hand.
Did it slip? Or
it looks like it slipped.
Or was he fixing the game? I mean, really, was he paid for that game to go into overtime?
I don't know.
Joe, we need your insight. We need your insight. So yeah, last night, Game 5, Hawks win 110-83. But the Hawks, now the series goes back to Boston. And fun fact for you guys, Atlanta Hawks have lost 10 straight playoff games in Boston.
What?
They've lost 10 straight playoff games in Boston.
Quit eating the chowder, boys. Go in there and just play some basketball.
So knowing that.
Park the car.
Park the car? Is that what you said? Park the car? Hashtag Team Talk. So now that you know that nasty stat that I stole from you.
I love it.
Who wins the next game? Who wins Game 6?
I think Atlanta closes it out.
You think Atlanta?
I think they're going to do it. I think Boston's been fun. I think Thomas.
Oh yeah,
he's a little hurt.
A little gimpy.
So I don't know. I think Atlanta is such the better team. I like the story behind Boston.
I do too.
Young coach, I mean, they're going to be. The East is going to be a lot of fun in the coming years with Boston, with Charlotte, with even
Cavs,
the Pistons.
I
mean, that was the toughest, most ruthless sweep ever.
It was.
It didn't feel like a sweep at all. Like, they played their hearts out.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the East will be a lot of fun, and the Bulls will suck, and it'll be great.
Let's talk a little bit, though, about the Pistons and the Cavs series. Like you said, it did not feel like a sweep. Each game, the Pistons hung around each game until the very end. And that last call, or the last no call of Game 4 that ended that series where Reggie Jackson went up for the 3, Kyrie Irving's defense was suffocating, and then the refs did not call the foul, which I think they should have called the foul. If that had been LeBron or Kevin Durant or Chris Paul or any other superstar, they would have gotten that call. And that game, I mean, refs, that was an awful no call.
I totally agree, because I'm sitting in my hotel room watching that, and I thought the same thing. I was like, if this is anybody else, the refs just want to get out of there, be done with the series, no call. I mean, like, he got hammered.
He did.
It was at least a reach in.
Thank you. Because he did reach in, Mike.
Yeah.
He reached in. Now, let's give shout out to Kyrie Irving for playing that defense. Like, he played defense like he was in college. It was like he was full court pressing Reggie. And so the defense was awesome. But at the point where Reggie pulled up for that 3, there was a reach in before it, and I think you could have called the foul on the 3-point
I agree.
shot.
I totally agree.
But shout out to Caldwell Pope, baby dog, who had a great series. I'm like, if we could get more players like that at UJ, we might be able to have a basketball program again.
Well, here's the thing about this Cavs team. They're actually balanced. They're healthy.
They are healthy.
I mean, when you look at them, Kyrie, he was the leading scorer for that team so far in the postseason.
Yeah.
Love is averaging a double-double.
Love is his true potential is really starting to show now.
Yeah, and then LeBron was top with like assists and steals. It's crazy. I mean, their defense a little lackluster.
Yeah,
but I mean, they can score on anybody pretty much.
And they're awaiting the winner of what Celtics Hawks series, right?
Celtics Hawks, yeah.
Okay. So let's just really quickly, what do you think? Who will win that series? Cavs or Celtics Hawks?
I think Cavs pretty much steamroll to the finals. Unless, I think Toronto's going to finish up their series. I think Toronto could give them a little battle, but I think the Cavs, if they stay healthy,
it's theirs to lose.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree.
But look at health. With 3 superstars.
3 superstars already down, and they're all in the Western Conference. Basketball gods, why can't we shift some of that to the Eastern Conference? Like, really? Because no one cares about the Eastern Conference until NBA Finals anyway. So why do basketball gods do that to us? I'm very, very resentful, if you're listening. Hashtag TMS Talk. Join the conversation on Twitter and on Facebook. NFL Draft starts tomorrow, Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern. That's round 1. Rounds 2 and 3 are Friday at 7 o'clock. And then Saturday you got rounds 4 through 7, but nobody's watching by that point. Like, if you have absolutely nothing else to do on Saturday, have fun watching rounds 4 through 7.
Or you're just like total football nerd.
You're a football nerd. Or, you know what, maybe you could like make a drinking game and like play a drinking game for rounds 4 through 7? What could it be?
That would actually just be fun for round 1. Because honestly, I barely watch the draft. I watch the results, but it's just like we've been listening to this crap for months, which is like finally it's here just because you want to get it over with.
So wait, hold on. So Trevor, you will not be watching. You won't be sitting down watching the first round of the draft tomorrow when it's live.
No. Well, yeah, okay. I'll probably watch up to the Dolphins pick, which is 13.
Okay.
Or I'll just be checking in. I don't know. It's exciting. It's fun because with the Rams having the first pick, it is like, who the hell are they going to take? Are they going to take Goff or are they going to take Wentz? I think they're going to take Goff, but that's kind of exciting. Like, oh God, and then who's going to go there and and who's going to do this? And so it's kind of fun, but it's the same guys spewing out the same jargon that they've been spewing for months and months and months. It's like, oh my gosh.
Okay, so I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to give you a little bit of pushback.
Okay.
I am a sucker for anything that shows people's dreams coming true. Like, I love watching Miss America pageants, Miss USAs. I love, watching, of course, anything sports related, Super Bowl, NBA Finals. My team is in it, but they haven't missed. I guess I don't like watching that. I just really love, again, the pomp and circumstance of someone's dreams coming true. Real life, real time. American Idol, for example, when Kelly Clarkson won that first year. I remember like sitting in front of the television at my sister's apartment, like crying. And that's how I feel when I'm watching the NFL draft. All these guys, a lot of them who come from nothing, a lot of them, have had bitter upbringings, but a lot of these guys come from nothing. And literally within a minute, their lives and their parents' lives and their situations change in an instant with an announcing of their name. So I get so sentimental when I watch the draft for those reasons. It's like I'm going from being, middle class or maybe sometimes borderline poverty to being a millionaire. I love it. So
well,
I watch the first round at least for that reason.
Okay, and I respect that, and I agree. It's so cool that now these guys are going from, God, I could barely eat.
Yeah.
I was going to the McDonald's new dollar menu. And now I'm going to freaking Musso and Frank's or Nick and Steph's, and it's nothing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, all these guys going in the first round, for the most part, know they're going in the first round. So they already know they're going to be millionaires.
True.
It's just kind of dependent on how big of a millionaire. Now, I will tell you a funny draft story.
Were you almost drafted to the Rams or something?
Yes.
Oh.
Middle linebacker. No. But a buddy of mine in high school, we played football together. His name was Trung Candidate.
What's his name?
Trung Candidate. Sick running back.
Wait, that's a good name. How do you spell his first? Trunk? Are you saying like
Trung? Trung.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was awesome. So sick in high school. Went on to play at U of A. Tore shit up. Was a Heisman hopeful. Like he was a bad mamma jamma. So I called him on draft day. We didn't know if he was going to go in the first round. We thought probably high second round.
Yeah.
So I call him, and he's like these athletes say, "What's up, Trev? All chill." I'm like, "Hey, man, just calling to wish you best of luck." He's like, "Yeah, man, hey, wish I could talk to you, but, something might happen." I was like, "Oh, shit, okay." I'm like, "Hey, man, good luck, blah, blah, blah." Hung up. Like 5 minutes later, last pick in the first round to the St. Louis Rams.
No. Oh, so I was close.
Yeah, I know. The fact that you said Rams, I was like, what? How'd you know that? So it was crazy. I was like, dude, I could have been on the phone while his agent's trying to call. But yeah, then he went on to play for the Rams for a couple years. Had some amazing seasons, but injuries got the best of him.
What is he doing now?
That is a good question.
We got to get Trung to call into the show.
We probably could.
Okay.
I'll reach out to him.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in a while, but.
Yeah, and if you could call in, or if he's even local to Los Angeles, or you want to fly in to come hang out with us.
Well, I do believe he still lives in Phoenix, so.
Well, you need to get your Phoenix butt to LA to come be on our show, Trung.
That's a great.
You see what happens?
I'll hit him up. Look at this.
Great minds.
Magic.
So Rams number 1 have the number 1 pick. Eagles have the number 2 pick. Chargers 3. Cowboys 4. Jags 5. Ravens 6. I can't believe the Ravens are where they are. Sad state for Baltimore. 49ers have this number 7 pick. Cleveland has number 8. Can we just get rid of the Cleveland franchise, please?
Now, I'm glad you said that.
Okay.
Because you had winners and losers of the draft.
Yes.
one of my winners, if the Browns take Ezekiel Elliott,
then he's a loser.
I will say this.
What?
I will put money on the Browns. They always do. Now that the schedules are out, they have over-unders. I should probably do it now before the draft. But I think the Browns could be better than people. They're not going to be good. Don't get me wrong on that.
I'm holding my breath to see what this lie is going to be.
They're not going to be that good. But I think RG3 is actually a legitimate quarterback.
Okay.
I think then you bring in a legitimate running back.
Okay.
Now, if Josh Gordon could stop hanging out with Johnny Man's Puff,
which he can't, but go ahead.
I know. That's the thing. Is if Gordon, there's a lot of ifs in this scenario.
If RG3 can stay healthy and actually.
And if they draft, it's an exciting Browns team, I think. They're not going to win a lot of games, but they'll at least win 4 or 5.
I don't, you know, all the things that you just said are the biggest lie I've heard all week.
Why is it a lie?
I don't know. I just don't have any faith in the Browns organization. Like, if another organization had RG3, Josh Gordon, and a possible Ezekiel Elliott, I think another franchise that has better management history could probably do something.
But they brought in a new GM.
They did, you're right. They did bring the guy in, you're right. But isn't he a baseball guy?
He's a baseball guy, and here's the thing. Here's why I think there's hope for Cleveland. And I'm not a Cleveland fan at all.
Yes, no, please, let's make this very clear.
Not a Cleveland fan. But the fact that they traded down, I thought was brilliant, because when you bring in RG3, I thought it was going to be the dumbest thing to draft Wentz or Goff.
Or Goff, yeah.
I was like, you brought in RG3. You've got Josh McCown. You're set. You're fine at quarterback. Like set. I mean, once again,
very subjective, but
I think RG3 is better than people give him credit for. We saw how good he can be, and then I personally think Washington handled that whole thing wrong.
I agree.
They beat the hell out of this poor guy. They did. Now, he did a lot on his own, but I think he's above average quarterback.
Okay.
So I think them trading down and getting a bunch of picks, I think they're already doing things to help themselves out.
Well, our friend Colin Cowherd, shout out to Colin, talks about how trading down is the smart thing to do when you already have a quarterback. Like, you trade up. I think you trade up to get quarterbacks. You trade down to stay under the salary cap, so you can get more talent for less money. But the most recent things that I've read say that the Cowboys are interested in Ezekiel Elliott. So that will be interesting. I mean, just because Ezekiel comes from such athletic pedigree, his mom ran track, his dad was a football player, both at the University of Missouri. I think that it would suck for someone like him who has lived and breathed sports his whole life to get stuck in Cleveland. I'm sorry. I know, like, you're gonna if you go to Cleveland, you're gonna be top 10 draft pick. You're gonna have tons and tons of money. So I guess essentially it won't really matter where you are. But I think that there's a certain allure about being drafted high and being drafted to the Cowboys when you come from that kind of family and when you've had the career that you've had at Ohio State, like he's had, to go to the Cowboys, who have the number 4 pick, as opposed to going to Cleveland. Again, a couple mil, whether you're in Cleveland or Dallas. But I would much rather my son go to the Cowboys.
Well, hell yeah. I mean, Dallas is right there.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a team that can contend for the Super Bowl if Romo stays healthy.
If Romo stays healthy, which he never does.
But they do need a running back.
They do. Okay. Hashtag Team Mess Talk. Join the conversation on Twitter. I couldn't think what I was going to say. The Brady suspension.
Oh, wait, can I give you another?
Oh, please do.
Sorry.
Yes, no. Do not apologize.
I want to give you another winner.
No.
That's going to blow your mind.
I'm not ready for this.
The Jaguars.
Oh, my God. What about
if they draft Joey Bosa?
Okay.
Solidifying that defense.
Oh, okay.
I think the Jags have a legit shot at winning that AFC South this year.
The Jaguars, here's another
You heard it
stat
here
for you.
First.
You did hear it here first. You also heard this first. The Jaguars will have a number 3 pick next year.
Watch out, guys. Watch out.
I shouldn't say that because the Jaguars are like my hometown team, kind of.
Well, you also have to remember their divisions sucks.
Yeah, it does suck.
I mean, well, we'll see. The Colts could be back, but
I'm
not a believer.
I'm a believer. I'm a luck believer.
Okay.
I am. I really am. Ursay, that's another story, but I am a luck believer. Deflategate is back and full force. Let me just give you the facts here. The United States Court of Appeals ruled that the New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady must serve the 4-game suspension that was issued by God, a.k.a. Roger Goodell. His 4-game suspension for now is back on. Trevor's sentiment is basically indicative of how the entire world feels.
Well, I think Brady got screwed. I think this is...
Wait, this time or last time or just...
Well, I think 4 games is just ridiculous.
Okay.
But seeing how they play the Dolphins in week 2, I will take it.
You'll take it.
Because some a-hole schedule maker, the Dolphins' first game is in Seattle.
It's in Seattle, yeah.
Thanks. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then their second game, all the way across country
Who did that?
to New England. It's like, come on. Does anybody know geography? NFL?
They don't know geography.
That's freaking brutal. But it's not as brutal now that it's Garoppolo.
But, you know,
As a Brady.
Garoppolo is supposed to be a force with which to be reckoned in the next few years or so. And, you know, he has all off season to get it together. He has the smartest coach in the NFL to get him ready, you know, for this big challenge. So I wouldn't turn my nose up at Garoppolo. Is it Garoppolo or Garoppolo? Rappa?
Garofalo is Janine Garofalo.
Oh, just right. Janine Garofalo. My mind is a little bit of every place right now. Yeah, I'm sorry to your Dolphins for having to fly cross country.
Worst schedule. It's gonna be awful.
But at least your loss against the first game against the Seahawks will be out of conference.
That's true.
Out of division.
Well,
whatever.
I'm seeing a 6-10 season.
So,
I
yeah.
have no hope. Their schedule is absolutely brutal.
Who's your quarterback now? Is it whatchamacallit?
Dickhead.
Is it still the dickhead?
Yeah, Tannehill.
Damn Tannehill.
Get out of Miami.
Get out of here with your dickhead.
Get out of here. Yeah, with you and your dickhead.
That's pretty funny. So basically, the court did not rule about whether or not Brady was guilty or innocent. They just said that Goodell had the power to give him the suspension, and so he is re-suspended. A lot of NFL, yeah. And you have some insight because you listened to Roger Goodell on the Herd. What's up, Colin Cowherd?
What's up?
You listened to Goodell this morning on Cowherd. I missed it. Did Goodell say anything about Deflategate / the suspension being re-upheld that you found interesting?
Not really. I mean, his interview was very
Was it
political.
Basic? Oh, get out.
Very, hey, they found, he was talking about how he and the NFL were disappointed when they lost, so that's why they appealed, and he feels that it's a proper punishment. And the big thing he was saying was the evidence when Brady smashed his phone. Like, I guess that was a big thing.
Yeah.
Because what's crazy is if you have stickum on your gloves, which kind of is the same thing as a deflated ball, it just helped. It's an $8,000 fine. That's it.
That's it.
Okay. So somehow you go from $8,000 to losing a draft pick, $1 million, and 4 game suspension.
Again, our best friend Colin has said it the best. It's not just about the deflating the footballs. It's about how the Patriots' nasty reputation for cheating and being arrogant has preceded the whole Deflategate scandal. So if this had been an isolated incident, if Deflategate had been an isolated incident, I don't think that the public would have reacted to it the way that we have. If this had been the Jaguars or the Browns or the Texans, I don't think anyone would have cared, but it's the Patriots. It's Belichick. It's arrogance. It's stubbornness. It's holier-than-thou kind of pompous attitude that the Patriots and their fans have. So it's like, dude, you got caught doing something again, you're going down. You're going to pay for this and everything else that you've always done all these years. That's what it is.
And I agree with that. I don't think that's fair because this should be treated as an isolated case.
I agree.
Technically, I think it should be very black and white.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I'm all for it as a anti-Patriots fan.
Yes. Yes.
Good. Suck it, Patriots.
Drew Brees has been very vocal. He's also basically said, Roger Goodell, you need to suck it. Suck on this football. He says that I think that we all agree that Goodell definitely has too much power. He's a judge, jury, executioner when it comes to all the discipline. He goes on to say, at the end of the day, we as the public, we as the players don't ever get to really see the fairness. We don't get to see those facts. We don't get to see the truth in all the things. I'm kind of paraphrasing here because we are running out of time. That's the unfortunate part of the whole thing. So my question to you is, what can the NFL do so that the appeals process is more fair?
Well, I mean, they're going to have to go back. I mean, the players did this to themselves in the bargaining agreement.
They did.
Hey, you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, when their contract's up, they're gonna have to figure something out. Because I don't agree that it's one guy. I mean, it should not be a dictatorship. Mm-hmm. There should be a group of people who come up with this decision. Because this guy, I don't think it's fair. Just be like, 4 games and this and that.
And today I feel like,
I hate the Patriots, so I'm going to really stick it to you. Like, that's
okay.
That's kind of bullshit.
Now, here's my very pedestrian idea. I think, and I wrote this down, so I'm going to be reading this from my notes.
Ooh.
I think that the NFL needs to rework how the appeal process works by getting an outside firm together to handle these decisions. And this firm should consist of former players, former coaches, lawyers, and maybe throw in a couple of media members in there too, so that each person each person offers a different perspective, from a coaching perspective, from a player perspective, from a media perspective, and from a legal perspective. And this way, there's not one perspective that outweighs so heavily another person's perspective. So the decision might not be, viewed as fair by everybody in the country, which nothing ever will be. But at least you have varying degrees of intel when it comes to making a decision. Okay, hot potato, hot seat.
Hot potato. Sam Bradford.
Oh, my God. Sam Bradford, have several seats. You haven't done anything in this league to be asking to be traded. All you need to be doing is playing the best ball that you can play. Prove yourself on this 2-year contract with the Eagles so that after the end of the 2 years, maybe you can ask to be traded somewhere else. But for now, you better be happy you even have a job in the NFL.
Oh, am I going Bradford?
Oh, whatever.
I'm saying the same thing. Wow. I'm Sam Bradford. Shut the hell up. Nothing's even happened yet. Why do you want to trade? It's like, God, shut up. You're not even that good.
You're not even that good.
Yeah, if you're Tom Brady, you can request trades.
Yes.
You're Sam Bradford. Chill out because, the Eagles might draft a quarterback. Who cares? Ugh. NHL
playoffs. I'm disappointed in the Kings only winning 1 game against the Sharks. I'm disappointed, even though I hate the Blackhawks, that the St. Louis Blue Jays eliminated them. The Blue Jays. The St. Louis Blue Jays. Baseball. What am I talking about? I'm disappointed there's no Blackhawks, no Kings, because what's the Stanley Cup with no Blackhawks, no Kings?
Totally agree. Kings, what the hell? They only led for like 4.5 minutes in the entire series.
Idiots.
They looked terrible. Jonathan Quick, what in the hell?
Quick.
Beyonce's Lemonade.
Football. Beyonce's Lemonade. I'm not a part of the Beehive, but let me tell you, if you want somebody to ride hard for you, you want somebody to ride hard for you like Beyonce's fans ride hard for her. If you haven't seen it, spend an hour and 5 minutes watching. It's a visual album. Even if you're not a Beyonce fan, you learn a lot about her personal life or her perceived personal life. And the music's okay, but the visual art is amazing.
Okay, I really had no interest in Beyonce's Lemonade, but you may have won me over.
You should watch it.
And I'm always looking for something to watch with my little boo-boo at home.
Ooh,
and I'm sure she'll get all up in that lemonade.
Okay.
Johnny Manziel.
His dad says that if he doesn't get help, he might die. So this indictment, if he's found guilty, he might spend a year in jail. I think his parents should pull their strings and make sure he goes to jail for at least the year so he can get some rehab.
Yeah, dude, stop hanging out at One Oak or wherever you are and get on TMZ drunk. It's like, dude, figure it out. God, it drives me crazy. You were in the NFL, bro.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Watch out for our Running Man Challenge coming soon to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all that. I'm Erica Renee Davis. You can find me on Snapchat, Periscope, Twitter, Instagram at Erica Renee D.
Hit me up. I am Trevor Anthony. Find me on Twitter at Trevor Anthony, on Vine at Trevor Anthony. And don't go to the Vine right now because this morning
it's really funny. Find The Morning Score on Twitter at The Morning Score. Find The Morning Score on Instagram at The Morning Score Show. Follow us on YouTube. Download this episode on iTunes, Stitcher. Tune in. Share it with your friends. Thank you guys for watching on Facebook. Sorry about UBNradio.com channel 2 not being up. Next week it'll be up. Until next time, we love you, Prince. We miss you. And we're going to jam to the Dance Music Sex Romance. a wide receiver, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I have long arms, like Calvin Johnson.
Oh, Calvin.
He's going to kind of retire.
Quarterback.
He could be a middle linebacker.
Oh, your neck.
Ow! I was there early.